Paul Brown was telling me about his wife's journey, and he said that she had metastatic breast cancer, and we talked about her talent and the fact that she had been fighting breast cancer and living with it beautifully for quite some time. And she had created this beautiful CD called Agrea's Castle for survivors. And I've got it on my chemo mix now. And so I go to chemo and I listen to the CD, and it just absolutely touched my heart. But more than that, the passion that Paul has for his wife and April together. I really hope that April and Paul could come together. And April wasn't able to make the trip this time, but she wanted Paul to come and to share her music and to share what it's like to be a caregiver to her.
Everybody meet my wonderful wife, April. We were married in 2004. She was a paralegal by trade, and the steady one, and a hippie. So, we loved hikes and walks and road trips, and I was that. So it was a pretty crazy contrast for a while, and I say this to say that we really just every day we lived our life kind of separately. She had her day job, and then I had my night gigs, or I was out of town, and it just went on like that. And over a period of time, we stopped doing things together. We stopped doing the hikes, slowed down, and I really thought that, as a lot of couples do, I thought we were growing apart. So we separated, and all of a sudden, one morning, she called me and she said, "You got to get over here. I cannot get up." I rush over there. She can't get up. I rush her to the emergency room. All of a sudden they do scans and all that stuff. And as it turns out, cancer had completely wiped out her left pelvis, the bone. And they said she had stage 4 metastatic bone cancer. So I got a big U-Haul. I went over to her apartment and I moved everything back in my apartment, and it became our life. And so we started our cancer journey together. She started outrunning cancer through hormone blockers and Zometa and radiation, and she sort of dodged chemo for the first 7 years. But what's really amazing about this is through this, she gets invited to this cancer wellness retreat in North Carolina called the Wind River Cancer Retreat. And they had these Native American flutes. And so she came back and she was just raving about, wow, they had this flute. And she wanted one for her birthday. And so I got her one. And she sits down on the couch. From the first note, it's like she was an old soul that she had been playing for years, and it was just so amazing. I'd never seen her pick up a paintbrush before she got diagnosed in 2008. And all of a sudden, she picks up this acrylic paintbrushes and canvas, and she paints this stuff, the details. And then she started documenting places that we had been. The waterfalls, her attention to details, I just blew me away. And again, somebody who I've never seen do anything like that. And she comes back and she goes, "Hey, Wind River wants to create a guiding imagery CD." And she kind of said, "Would you do it?" And I'm like, "Yes." So all of a sudden, April and I started creating together. We were in the studio every day recording, and after we got through, by that time we felt like we had such a connection. From the first 2 tracks of this album, I was so blown away at how it was turning out. And then we found ourselves with a whole complete album, and we made it a priority that it would be totally free of charge to cancer survivors and caregivers. And through that, on her 56th birthday this past August, she was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award from one of the great Native American flute makers from High Spirits Flute. And for her birthday, we surprised her with that in a custom flute for her. But it's just to say that you don't have to let cancer take stuff. You can, if it takes certain things, you can get certain other things back and keep going. Meet April now. These next few shots were taken during the recording of the album that I just finished with Mickey Free, who we're going to perform for you today. And she's actually a guest on one of the tracks. So where did her hair go, right? And we all know that answer. She did. She got through 7 years without chemo, but she tried chemo for about 6 months, and it was so brutal, and as you all know, that she said no. She asked the question of how long do I have, but April meant it as how much longer is the chemo, but Dr. Peacock thought she was at, and she said, well, statistically 6 months right now, that's kind of where you're at. And she said, what I would do if I were you is I would focus on quality of life with the time that you have left. And so that's what she's been doing. She's been focusing on the quality of life. So she's in home hospice right now, which is the reason she couldn't be here. The thing is, there was no way that I couldn't be here for a few reasons. We talked this morning and she was like, I want you to be here for Suzanne and to help these people. So I'm here. I had to be here. So check this out. This is crazy. So it's harder for her because of the nerve damage, right? Her limbs are heavier. She's really, just to move from the couch to the kitchen is a task, and it's harder for her to sit really nearly impossible to sit in front of a big canvas and paint those beautiful paintings. So she goes to Joann's, and we get these 89-cent Bosswood-made birdhouses, and she sits down, and she starts, and right now, 4 months into hospice on a rapid decline, and she refuses to let cancer take her out. She just made that for her mom for her birthday, who's coming over today to help take care of her while I'm away. Every day I live with a new hope of a hope that she'll paint a little more, a hope that she'll play flute a little more. So every day I find a new hope, and a new hope is answered. If you've run out of cures, if you've run out and you're at the end of that road, then there's, even in hospice, even into 4 months into hospice, there's a hope for other things that you can take. And she specifically told me when she's done and when she makes her transition, she said, you made sure nobody says, I lost to cancer. I won to cancer. And that's Mickey Free and I in our studio in April, and that's kind of at the tail end of the sessions. And he gifted her that drum. The other thing is, because April couldn't be here, she really wanted to prepare something, because, as a caregiver, I probably should have said, hi, I'm Paul Brown and I'm a caregiver. Because it's a whole different kind of deal, and just every day, through the meds and the frustration and the things. And I learned every day, not just about hope, but about being a better caregiver and empathy. But she wanted to share with you all from her perspective of what a caregiver has meant to her. So this is from April. Hello, everyone. My name is April Brown. I'm married to this guy. Yikes. Sort of. Paul Brown, the other half of Agrelius Castle. That's our group. I'd like to take just a minute of your time, if you don't mind. I'm not an expert on anything, but I do know a little something about my own experience. One thing I've experienced is being a person living with metastatic breast cancer whose spouse has taken the role of primary caregiver. This has been my life to varying degrees since 2009. From my perspective, that is a tough role to assume. I know it has been a challenge for Paul. We patients tend to get frustrated with our situations, especially as our dependence increases. We, or I, take out our frustrations on our caregivers. I know sometimes I have difficulty expressing gratitude for all the things Paul does to me throughout the day. As an example, Paul has taken on extra chores around the house. He's not necessarily comfortable with these chores. Cooking is a huge issue around our house. I was always the cook and prefer my own cooking to practically anything else, but cooking a meal is too physically demanding on me unless I have arranged my day to conserve that strength and energy. So despite being intimidated by just the thought of cooking, Paul has learned to make some meals we both enjoy together. And he has taken on so many other things in addition to making sure my needs are met, just like you have. But what makes this relationship unique is that he is also my husband. He is also my best friend. He is watching me live through a chronic terminal illness. His heart is breaking too, just like yours if you are caring for your spouse or partner. I learned an important lesson recently. Paul has been dealing with back issues of his own. Caregiver is not a primary role in my life. I am grateful he is here with me, making this journey easier, but his primary role is husband and best friend. If you were caring for your spouse or partner, I have no doubt they feel the same. Thank you all of you caregivers, for everything you do. Thank you for being there for us. We can't do this without you. April Brown. That's what I wanted to come here with, is to share with you that there is a new hope beyond even cures. And there is a new avenues for you and your partner or spouse that you can create things together. And it can be the smallest thing. I think for me, what was so fun is watching her flourish in these small thing like a Native American flute. Just so easy just to wrap yourself around, and seeing her get so much joy even now. Hello, April.
Hi, April.
As you can see, I'm in my kimono. So we finished the retreat, and I'm here with Suzanne and Trish.
Hey, April.
And Mickey.
Hi.
And we have finished our performance, and it was so beautiful, and everybody here was so beautiful. But it's not over just yet, because we wanted to send you some serious love from it keeps going. Some kisses to you, April.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
Thanks for letting me.
And last but not least,
Love you, April. Thanks for sharing your hubby.
Yes.
we love you, April. We'll see you soon.